went to Africa. My last congregation, Mount Calvary Lutheran Church in Egan, was the last church in the St. Paul area synod to partner with a congregation. It wasn't my fault, it wasn't their fault, but we got to it sooner or later. One of the greatest things about St. Paul area synod is that every congregation in that synod partners with a church in Africa. I will be a little bit critical. The Minneapolis Synod says, pick something. There's nothing unifying about it. I prefer that because 121 congregations are in Africa. There's strength in numbers. But because we were the last one, we got the last place on top of a mountain. Remember Gronk in that movie about how you go up the hill in the children's movie? Yeah, that's where we went. Ipolamwa, Tanzania. At the very end of the road, turn left and go for a while. But we went to Africa. I had to fly for almost 20 hours. You know that I don't like to fly to North Dakota. But we got there sooner or later. Felt like later. And we landed Dar es Salaam, and then we went to Tanzania. And we went and we saw a school. And then I saw these things. I'll go one at a time. We were outside the school and we saw these kids playing soccer. Had to be 50 of them. And it was just a big dirt space with a road that went down the middle of it. And they were playing on this road. And every once in a while a truck would come by and would honk, and then they would disperse like sheep. And they would wave to the truck driver. And then they would go back to where they were. Our kids have an artificial turf with lights, or by flying cloud, they have these great green places where they still water, because we wouldn't want to play on parched turf, but they're playing in the middle of a road. Sharing shoes. Here we are, 12 white people peering over this fence, watching a bunch of children play, and then someone notices that each child only has one tennis shoe on. Not two, one. And we notice that the kid who has a tennis shoe on the right foot is kicking with his or her right foot, and then the person who has a left shoe on, you better learn how to be ambidextrous here because, you have this shoe. And all of a sudden, us rich white people realized they had to share shoes. But they were having the time of their life. All of a sudden we started talking with one another because St. Paul told us to bring flip-flops. So we brought about 150 flip-flops, and we were thinking, why did we bring them flip-flops? They need Nikes. Too bad it was at a time when we couldn't have Amazoned it, because Jeff could have come with his spaceship and he could have dropped us some tennis shoes. And so we just watched. And then they got done with the game and they came over to see us. And I forgot to tell you that their soccer ball, I think, was clothing that had worn out, and they put it in a ball and they duct taped it. It was kind of round. And they came over to us. And what was weird about it, you have to understand this, is that I think that there are pro teams, baseball and football teams, that send their overrun, like from the Vikings when they've never won the Super Bowl. They send all the "We're not the champion" t-shirts over there. And I'm not kidding, where you looked, it was the New Orleans Saints and the Minnesota Vikings and then New York Knicks. There was one kid who had a Timberwolves shirt, but he looked really sad because they're really bad. And he thought, of all the t-shirts I get this? But it was weird looking at these pro sports teams and these beautiful children looking at us. And then we sheepishly handed them the flip-flops, hoping that they would somehow become tennis shoes when we put it over the fence, but they were still flip-flops, and they were just so happy. But then we had a bag full of soccer balls, 8 of them. And we said, here's a bag, and we threw it over the fence, and they started to see the soccer balls. And I'm not kidding, I'll try to not lose it here, because frankly, in my life outside my family, they saw those soccer balls, and it's like we gave them just what they dreamed of. I'm not kidding. All 50 of those kids scaled that fence, and they attacked us with hugs. They grabbed your legs and your knees and your torso and your arms, and it was a 5-minute hug. For me, as 100% Norwegian, it became awkward because it didn't end. But I was weeping because it was just exactly what they wanted. And they weren't thinking that this is great because we're so poor. They didn't know it. They just didn't know it. And then we went to Ipalamwa and the top of the mountain, and we got there to the village and their favorite toy. Let me describe it to you. If you take a bicycle rim and you take off the rubber and you have the steel rim, and then you find a stick, and you put the stick on that rim and you run around the village. How hard can it be? I tried it. I wish I hadn't. The most awkward thing you've ever seen in your life. They laughed. I was popular. Our children want a third or fourth monitor to go with their Xbox. I'm not saying you're wrong. I live the same life you do. You think I'm not authentic? Listen more carefully. I need a new controller. I need a new keypad that's intuitive. Really? How about go play outside, intuitively speaking? They had the best toy in the world. Why they giggled when they saw a picture of a friend on a flip-out screen? Dawn was our photographer. She had this wonderful camera. And I just want you to listen here because this is so profound. It took us a while to figure this out, but she kept on taking pictures. So 3 kids had their picture taken, and then she would flip the screen to them so they could see it. With me? These 3 kids looking at the picture. You know what they did? They looked at their friend and they pointed to the picture and then they giggled. Now, maybe you're smarter than I am because you're not 100% Norwegian. You know what Dawn figured out, and Dawn is a very, very good lawyer. You know what she told us? Do you notice that no one is putting to themselves? You know why? Because there are no mirrors in the village. They don't know what they look like. And you know what? They're all beautiful and they know it because they don't spend so much time looking in a mirror. And I thought, they have so little, yet they have so much.